Good afternoon, everyone. This is Marufa Hafiz, PG second year from Department of Oral and Maxillofacial Surgery. Welcome to my presentation on temporomandibular joint disorders. The contents are introduction, then anatomy of the temporomandibular joint, which is important in order to understand the disorders, then the temporomandibular joint disorders. Temporomandibular joint is the articulation between squamous part of the temporal bone and head of the mandibular condyle. Temporomandibular joint is also referred as gangliomo-arthodial joint as it is capable of hinge, that is the rotatory movement, as well as gliding, that is the translatory movement. It is also referred as compound joint. In a compound joint, there should be 3 bones, but in temporomandibular joint, there are only 2 bones, but still it is referred as a compound joint because the articular disc, it acts as a non-ossified bone that permits the complex movements of the temporomandibular joint. It is also referred as a craniomandibular joint and a synovial joint. Now coming to the anatomy of the temporomandibular joint. First, we will discuss the cranial component, the mandibular fossa or the glenoid fossa. It is limited anteriorly by the articular eminence and posteriorly by the postglenoid tubercle. The bone at the depth of this fossa is very thin and it forms a partition between the middle cranial fossa and the temporomandibular joint. In the diagram, you can see there is external auditory meatus, and in between external auditory meatus and the temporomandibular joint, there is tympanic plate. Next is mandibular condyle. Mandibular condyle is broad laterally and narrower medially. Its articular surface is covered by a fibrocartilaginous tissue and not with a hyaline cartilage. Next is articular disc. It is composed of dense fibrous connective tissue and its most part is devoid of any blood vessels and nerve supply. In sagittal plane, it can be divided into 3 zones, that is anterior zone, intermediate zone and posterior zone. Intermediate zone is the thinnest, and in a normal joint you should remember that the articular surface of the condyle is located on the intermediate zone of the disc. This articular disc is attached posteriorly to a loose connective tissue that is highly vascular and innervated. This is called as retrodiscal tissue, and superiorly there is a superior retrodiscal lamina and inferiorly there is inferior retrodiscal lamina. You can see it in the diagram, and the central portion of the disc is attached to a venous plexus that gets filled with blood when the condyle moves forward. This articular disc divides the joint into 2 cavities, that is the superior cavity or the superior compartment, which is also referred as temporodiscal compartment, and an inferior compartment which is also referred as condylodiscal compartment. The internal surfaces of these cavities are surrounded by specialized endothelial cells that form synovial lining and produce synovial fluid. That is why it is referred as a synovial joint. Now, coming to the ligaments of the temporomandibular joint, there are 3 functional ligaments and 2 accessory ligaments. The 3 functional ligaments are: first is the collateral ligament. Collateral ligament is also termed as discal ligament. You can see the medial collateral ligament and the lateral collateral ligament. These are responsible for hinge movement of the temporomandibular joint. Next we have the capsular ligament. Capsular ligament invests the joint completely, and it is because of the capsular ligament that the synovial fluid is retained. Next we have the temporomandibular joint ligament that you can see in another diagram, that is also referred as lateral ligament. It is also termed as mean stabilizing ligament or the Chuck ligament. It limits anterior excursion of the jaw as well as prevents posterior dislocation. Next, we have two accessory ligaments, that is the suphenomandibular ligament and the stylomandibular ligament. Suphenomandibular ligament is an important landmark during surgery because internal maxillary artery and the auriculotemporal nerve lies between it and the mandibular neck. Stylomandibular ligament limits excessive protrusive movements of the mandible. Next is peculiarity of the TMJ. It is a bilateral diarthrosis, that is right and left function together. Articular surface is covered by a fibrocartilage rather than a hyaline cartilage. There are some advantages of fibrocartilage over hyaline cartilage. It is less susceptible to the effects of aging. It is less likely to break over time, and it has a better ability to repair. In contrast to other diarthrodial joints, TMJ is last joint to develop. In about 7th week in utero, it develops from two distinct blastema, that is the condylar and the temporal. Next is the functional movements of the temporomandibular joint. The functions of temporomandibular joint are depression, elevation, protrusion, retrusion, and lateral movement. The muscles that are associated with protrusion are lateral pterygoid, assisted by medial pterygoid. For retraction, posterior fibers of temporalis, deep part of masseter, geniohyoid, and digastric. For elevation, we have temporalis, masseter, and medial pterygoid. For depression, digastric, geniohyoid, and mylohyoid muscles. Next is the blood supply and nerve supply. It is mainly supplied by the external carotid artery through its branch, that is the superficial temporal artery. There are other branches also, like deep auricular branch and masseteric branch of the internal maxillary artery. Next is the nerve supply. It is mainly by the branches of the mandibular division of the trigeminal nerve and mainly by the auriculotemporal nerve. Now coming to temporomandibular joint disorders. Temporomandibular joint disorders are a class of degenerative musculoskeletal conditions that are associated with morphological and functional deformities. These can be classified as intrinsic disorders, which are directly associated with the joint, and extrinsic disorders. Now, disorders due to the intrinsic factors. In this, we have trauma, like dislocation, subluxation, intracapsular and extracapsular fractures, then internal disc displacement with reduction and without reduction, then arthritis like osteoarthritis and rheumatoid arthritis. Then we have developmental defects like condylar hypoplasia, bifid condylar